meant to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having us.
So we've been talking for a long time because you know a lot about the subject. It's Women's Health Week. We want women to be healthy. Tell us about your cancer story.
Well, my sister's the one with cancer. So last year at this time, this week on Mother's Day, she went into the doctor's office. You know, her stomach had been hurting, and she noticed that she was gaining like 30 pounds. And so when she went in, the doctor told her, well, we're just going to watch what you eat. You'll be fine. And then on Mother's Day, she started complaining of her stomach hurting really bad. And so I convinced her that it was appendicitis. So I talked to her and didn't go into the hospital on Mother's Day. And then 3 days later, she found out she had ovarian cancer.
How did that happen? Okay, so what did they do to find that out?
Okay, so at the hospital, they ran a lot of blood tests. They ran a lot of ultrasounds. They did CT scans on me. They did all kinds of stuff because they thought that I had appendicitis. And then eventually they said that they had seen that I had fluid in my stomach. So they did a procedure to take the fluid off. And there was like 3 liters of fluid. And then on the 3rd day that I was in the hospital, that's when they told me that that's what they had found.
So that was a 30-pound weight gain.
Yes,
exactly. A lot of fluid was growing inside of my stomach.
That had to be painful.
It was painful, but I really did not think that I was that sick. And to hear that you have stage 3 ovarian cancer was pretty shocking.
Well, you guys seem like tough kid, like growing up and everything, so you probably have a high threshold for pain.
Right. I think so.
Well, and after that step, they decided that they wanted to do, they were going to treat it with surgery first and then treat it with chemotherapy. Mm-hmm. And so when, right before she was going to have surgery, a few days before, she kept saying her leg hurt really bad, like the muscle. And I was like, let's roll it out. So we took a roller and we rolled her leg. I go, you must have just slept on it wrong, you know, thinking. And then my son being in the fitness stuff, he was like, Mom, that could be a blood clot. Mm-hmm. And I go, but, you know, this was a couple days later. I go, but her leg feels better. So we didn't think anything about it. And then we went to her doctor's appointment for her surgery to get her prepped. And she talked to the nurse and told her leg hurt. Well, then the nurse told her that she needs to have that checked out before she has surgery, so we did, and she found out she had a blood clot, and it had traveled to her lungs.
Right. So had I had surgery, that would have been a really bad deal.
Oh my God! And your son is so smart. He was saying the most interesting thing when I interviewed him a year ago. So that is so wow.
Right. So that was pretty shocking. So what they did instead of surgery, because I ended up back in the hospital, they're like, you have to lay here and don't move.
And so
then they go, okay, well, this is the deal. Then we're going to start your chemo instead. So I ended up having 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I never ever threw up, only one time.
Wow.
And that was when I got really stressed out because I thought, oh my God, I have another blood clot. And that was the only time. I never threw up the whole time.
And this is a really good lesson to our viewers about being very vocal with your doctors.
Right.
Because, you know, if you would have just like, and you wanted the surgery, so it's hard to speak up. I know you might not get it. I'm that kind of person that would be like, oh, I don't want them not to like hold off.
I think if she wouldn't have told him her leg hurt, it would have been really bad. Because it had already traveled, I think, from us rolling it. It traveled into her lungs.
That's what was so important, that you're so vocal about stuff like that.
Right. So talking with your doctors is really important.
And telling them everything,
and
even
if they don't listen, then you need to find another doctor.
So did you feel like you had a really good support team with the doctors that were with you?
The gynecologist, yes, absolutely. He's been super supportive. He's very kind. He always listens to what you have to say, and then he makes a plan with you. And he doesn't give you everything at once, which would be really pretty overwhelming, right? If you know everything right at one time, you're just going to get overwhelmed. But he gives it to you as, you know, a little bit at a time.
I
So
love that's really
helpful.
good. And
But-
so he explains that he makes sure that you understand, not
Right.
just using big words all the time. We're like, because it's another
Right.
world. You got to learn everything about ovarian
Right.
cancer.
Right. I think one of the things that was really hard was just you don't know what's going to happen because, of course, when you first hear cancer, right, it's you think, what do you think? You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to die.
Especially stage 3. I would
Right.
think that would definitely.
And so
Yes.
the one thing I told my doctor right from the very beginning is, look, I have to live. I have kids. I still have a daughter to raise, and I have 9 grandkids. So
I love that.
you're going to make me live. And he's like,
So
okay.
you just threaten him
And when
Let's do this.
When she had surgery, her surgery was 7 hours. She had a 7-hour surgery.
It was actually an exploratory type surgery also
Yes.
because they did have to do a bowel resection. And I also vocalized, do not put a bag on the outside of my body. Don't do it. And so he accommodated that, and that was part of the surgery. And so I've been doing really well.
So how are you out of the woods, so to speak? I know you have to keep on.
Okay, so right now I am cancer-free. And then because I did test genetic testing, I tested positive for BRCA1. My sister also tested, thank God, and she's negative.
So what does that mean?
So BRCA1 is a genetic mutation, so it like runs, it's like genetically in your genes. Like my grandmother, I found out through all this, had ovarian cancer.
Wow, that's what I was going to say because I know a lot of
Right.
it's hereditary.
Right, right.
Mine came back, I could have it 1% in the next 5 years and 5% in the next lifetime. So,
but
but the genetic testing is what costs so much money, so a lot of people don't do it. Because it's very expensive. It's like $5,000.
Wow, so like most
Some
people
of the
aren't going
insurance,
to do that.
yeah, and the insurance, you know, some of them will pay for it. Like mine was paid for because of my sister being so close to me. But it's,
So that's something to know. So anybody that has a sibling with cancer, their insurance may cover it.
they should definitely check into
should.
it. Definitely.
That's very good knowledge to know.
Yes.
Wow. So what about your kids? Are they going to take the test too?
Eventually, yes, they will. But as far as right now, no, they haven't.
So why do you think, so stage 3, you failed from it, you only got through up once. Do you think, were you always very active? Are you a healthy person? Do you think those factors helped?
Okay, so technically, I don't exercise and stay
You're
healthy.
laughing.
My sister's the health fitness person. Me, the thing is I don't ever sit down. Like everywhere I go,
You're
I'm
an
like,
active, you don't exercise, but you're active.
Not intentionally.
Okay,
It's not
I get it.
something
No, there's people like
intentional.
that, yeah.
I think more than anything, it's just the will to live and staying positive, you know, and your family saying, stay positive. And then you're saying, stay positive, right?
You have to listen to your body. Obviously, when it first started, like she was not going to want to go to the doctor.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, you have appendicitis. Like, you need to go. But obviously, it was way worse than appendicitis.
She was very insistent, but
But I'm
also
like, go
what
to
she's
the
not
doctor.
saying is she actually stayed there with me at the hospital.
So her being really annoying is what saved your life?
Yes.
I love that story. That's awesome.
Well, when we were young, I bossed her around. This is my saying. Now that we're older, she bosses me around.
Well, a year
It's
before that,
important.
we had went to the heart hospital where they do a heart checkup. For $25, you go and have a bunch of tests done.
We
and
both
you say,
did it.
We were both, you know. She tried to say she was active, but she walks around her house, and I'm like, that's not being active. Like, you need to
She
exercise.
wants me to run 5 miles a day, but I don't do that.
But so, like now knowing what you've been through and everything, would you tell anybody that's like going through something where they've had some ongoing pain for a while, go to the doctor, get checked out, mention cancer, mention this? Are you a little bit more like that now, a little more bossy to people, your friends and family?
Right. I think so, yes. Yeah. If my daughters, for instance, were like, oh, my side's hurting or something, I would be like, get to the doctor ASAP.
So how else has it changed like you and your outlook? And you two, how has it changed your guys' outlook on everything?
I think just to be more aware of what, you know, I do exercise. I try to tell her she needs to exercise more, but she doesn't listen. But she is supposed to do a 5K with me.
Yeah, we are going to do that.
I look at life like you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You need to make sure that you check with your you know, your doctor. Women our age definitely need to check with their doctor and be, like you said, be open with your doctor no matter what.
Right.
Are you guys good about getting your checkups before all this? Are you guys like, you know,
Yes.
your yearly or
Right, right. The annual female checkup.
So you guys have been doing all of that, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mammograms, the whole thing. Yep, absolutely.
And I talked her into doing the heart checkup with me. You know,
Right.
they run all your blood tests. It's, you know, they check your heart out. They tell you
That's-
what your cholesterol is and all that.
Would that have helped in this situation?
That didn't help.
It didn't, because, well, the reason it didn't help in this situation, it might have, they do find other things, like some people might go in there and there might be something, you know, that they might find. But in this situation, it didn't help because it seems like I was just like, all of a sudden I was just sick. It just came on so fast.
So what do you do to check? Because I mean, when you do your yearly, like you said, women checkups and everything,
Right.
they do check your ovaries, right?
I don't think they check as much as they should. I
So
wish
it's kind
that
of
they
like a
would check
surface-
more. Yes, I feel like women should ask for blood tests and
Every
be
time.
specific. Look, this might, you know, like if they do know that something runs in their family, have them check for that.
And so when you were saying about the genetic testing, so if we're not, like, let's say, because I have friends that are adopted and they don't know a lot of things.
Right.
Is that something that's kind of a must, get a genetic testing to see kind of what might run in your family or might be your problem?
I would recommend it if it's affordable and if their insurance would cover it, yes. But usually they do that if, like for instance, if
Like
I
you
have
said.
it, then that's what my doctor was telling me, is that you're going to be the one that will help your whole family because we found it in you.
I know, you're the
Everybody
guinea
else
pig.
is going to be, right. So I am thankful that I did find it because then you know, I can share that with my daughters, my sister, my mother, you know. One thing that you do have to realize also, I know this is Women's Awareness Month, but men can actually get things like breast cancer as well, but they don't
I
think
know,
about those
I
kind
hear
of things,
this,
and
and
I
I'm
didn't
like,
even know
wow.
that until this.
But they're not encouraging mammograms.
Right. But my outlook has changed a lot because, you know, before it's like, oh, I'm going to fix my hair and get my makeup on and get dressed cute and all this stuff and go to a rodeo. But now I'm more, you know, some things I just kind of let go, and I'm not so much about all that anymore. I'm more like, oh, I need to spend time with my family more, or I need to have, you know, more special moments with my grandkids and my kids. I don't know, it just makes you think more about life when you've been through what I've been through.
Did you get any support groups, like any Facebook groups and like, you know, women with cancer? Did you find any solace in that or not really?
Not really. For me personally, no.
You didn't
And
want
what
to talk
I'll
to
tell
other
you-
people with the
Tell you
same-
what I did do. I have a very close friend that I call up and talk. Okay, so a lot of times I talk to my sister every day. So she's been super supportive of this whole thing. But I did find a friend who was going through the same thing as me. And then I have another friend whose mother actually passed away from the same thing last year.
Wow.
So I talked to them because I feel like it's such a burden on my family. Like I don't want to be talking about that all the time with them.
And that's,
you know?
it's consuming. It's on your
'Cause I
mind. It's
want-
very
it's-
consuming, so
when
you
my
have
time,
to.
Yeah, my time with them, I just want it to be positive. So.
Were they very informative though, your friends? Did they tell you, like prepare you for some
yeah.
things and tell you some things? You're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
And what to ask the doctors, kind of.
The one girl I did chemotherapy with, the one lady, she was, and so we understand each other because we actually had surgery the same day. And we actually went through like the exact same things.
Wow.
You met her at chemotherapy.
Yeah, I met her
She
there.
met
But
her
then
at-
I have another friend, like I said, her mother actually did pass away from ovarian cancer.
Wow, so stage 3, that is so... How long did it, so you said Mother's Day, you're cancer-free now. So how long was the whole process to get to cancer-free?
I found out I was cancer-free, I believe, in December. So from May to December.
So about 7-8 months?
Yeah. Yes.
And she's still doing treatments.
I'm still doing treatments. I have a monthly infusion. It's not the strong stuff, but yeah, it's to help keep the cancer at bay.
How long are you supposed to do that for?
Right now, 18 months.
Okay.
So, and it's been about 4 months.
And she checked on the genetic testing, her breast cancer is high. So she has a lot of decision making in that part.
So recently, my doctor recommended that I have a mastectomy. So I
Just because of the genetic testing? then?
yeah.
So there's a lot of like personal, if you want to, if you should do it, if you should not do it, but it's recommended that you do it so you don't get it.
Didn't Angelina Jolie do something like that? I heard about, like, I think that she did something like that because her mom died of that, or that ran in her family, I think.
I think so.
I heard-
but she did the reconstructive surgeries too. Yes.
So it's a lot to take in and
There's some people
to think
that's
about, and like the
becoming a
genetic testing, like if you don't do it, do you get breast cancer?
To wait for there to be
Yeah.
to wait. I mean, I get that. That makes sense.
So they have
too.
me on high watch right now. So my thinking, so for other women out there, what you have to do is you can't just be like, okay, chemotherapy is bad for you, or no, I just do what the doctors tell me, and this is how I got where I'm at. So to just make the decision for a mastectomy because I'm cancer free, I just have to think about. I can't just think about I can't think about the bad. I have to think about the good and the positive things. That's what's really helped me get through all of it.
And then when it comes to maybe getting a mastectomy, is that something you're going to wait maybe after the 18 months is over?
That's
when you're
what
not
I'd
on
like to do.
close
but they will
watch?
keep me on close watch until then.
What have your kids learned from all this? I know one of your children's here today.
Yeah, she is.
Come say hi. Come on, girl.
She's a special one that got to come with us.
This one still lives with me and has had to be there the whole time I've been ill, So she sees a lot more actually than my other kids have, honestly.
So what are some of the things, if you could say, I know you're not mic'd up, so you might want to talk close. And what are some of is there anything you kind of learned out of all of this?
The only thing I could say that I've learned is to really watch yourself, like health,
Right.
and to just like if you see something that's wrong or if it seems to bother you, to go to the doctor for it, because it's easier to just go and do a simple checkup than to wait and then have your life ruined. So
That's good. This is a strong family we got here.
Right.
And you do the barrel racing too. So now you can go and see and support all that, huh?
Yes.
She did miss it a lot. She would tell me all the time, I'm missing watching her ride.
With
I'm
the
missing her
chemo.
ride.
When I
I'm
had
Because
missing
how
her."
often did you have to go in for that?
Every 3 weeks.
So she would miss a lot of her riding.
I did miss a lot last year.
Wow.
And actually, she was training my granddaughter to barrel race, who's 8. And so she was her trainer for a while. And we just kind of, after this hit, we kind of stopped doing all of it because it was just too much for everybody.
But now
So
everyone's getting back into
everybody's
it.
getting back into it. Hopefully, my granddaughter will be out there soon. I want to say hi to Bristol and hi to my grandson, Clayton.
Hi guys, what a great
Hi,
family.
all my grandkids and my other kids.
And you have, what you said, 9 grandkids or how many?
9, yes, 9 grandkids.
Wow, that's a lot of nieces and nephews for you, girl.
too many for me to handle.
Thank you guys so much for coming on
Thank
my
you
show.
for having us.
You've really helped our audience and
Thank
enlightened
you.
us on a lot of stuff.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, Jody. Thanks for coming on Everything Sparkle today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's Women's Health Week. I love your story. It's very tragic, but it's very informative. And when I told people about you and then having you, they're like, I don't know a whole lot about Lyme's disease. So can you fill in some blanks for us?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know what? I didn't really know about much about Lyme disease either until my daughter was diagnosed with it in 2017. And it took us a good year to try and, figure out how to treat it because Lyme disease is a bacterial infection, and the majority of people don't even realize when they've been bitten by a tick that they actually could have Lyme disease. Sometimes it just sits in your body, and then years later, it can develop, symptoms of joint pain, inflammation, a lot of chronic illness.
So where
So
are these ticks? Is it like you can get them any?
everywhere, yes,
Is
it
it a
can.
predominantly a certain area or it just any
No,
Fresno?
it's anywhere, and especially with climate change, we're seeing a lot more of ticks. There's been several parks and several hiking trails closed down because they had such a tick infestation. So it's just really being aware of your surroundings. Pets, if you have pets can be a carrier of ticks. So it's really just making sure that you are taking preventive measures when you're going outside, just like you would put on, off spray if you're going outside so you don't get bit by mosquitoes. Well, if you're going out hiking or just going out in the outdoors, make sure that you're putting on DEET or other things that can help prevent getting bit by a tick. Make sure that you're wearing clothing so none of your skin is exposed, whether ankles, hands, whatever. So it's just a lot of preventive measures.
This
And
is really scary because I get bitten all the time whenever I do anything. So this is like, wow.
right? And 35% of the people that get bit by a tick will develop what's called a bullseye's rash. So it's a red, circle around the point where the tick entered the skin. But that's only 35%. So the majority of people don't even realize when they've been bit by a tick that they've actually been bit by a tick.
So your
Um,
daughter was bit by a tick.
But we didn't know that. She went 10 years misdiagnosed. So, like I said, it starts with joint pain, inflammation. Alex was an amazing athlete. And in fifth grade, she was playing every sport that she could. In fact, in sixth grade, it was great because Alex, along with two of her girlfriends, won the Best Athlete Award. No boy that year won an award. It went to all the girls.
I love that.
Girl power, right? But so we just thought, oh, she's being overworked, her body just from playing soccer and all these sports, maybe she just needs to take a rest. Well, one thing progressed into another, and she started having digestive issues because when you have a bacterial infection in your body, it impacts every part of your body. So she went from 122 pounds down to 57 pounds when she passed away. Yeah. So it's pretty horrific if you don't get a handle on it, and if you don't realize that you have Lyme disease, the damage
So
that
what
it
are
can.
some of the misdiagnoses? What did people tell her that they thought she had?
Well, they thought she had fibromyalgia, which is really a default disease for when you don't know what you have wrong with your body. A lot of doctors will say that. They thought also because she was a young, pretty girl that she had an eating disorder, that maybe she had anorexia. I mean, it was a whole gamut. Then maybe she had anxiety. So it was tough. I mean, she had a really tough time. Here she had a full ride scholarship to UCLA, and she couldn't even take advantage of it because she was just so weak.
Wow. Okay. So then I was reading about it. She finally got a diagnosis. So
Right.
explain that. How did that happen eventually, 10 years
Right.
later?
Yeah, after 40 plus doctors, and after Alex really going through hell and back with the medical community, she on her own found this doctor that really thought out of the box. And he was down at Cedars-Sinai, and we went down and made a visit to his office. And after 2 hours of talking to her and just kind of getting a background history, he said, Mrs. Hudson, has anybody tested Alex for Lyme disease? And I looked at him like you in the beginning and said, what's Lyme disease? Like, that's out in the East Coast. I mean, no one gets it out here in California. And he said,
Right.
unfortunately, been, finding and diagnosing a lot more people with it. So anyway, she submitted to the test, and a couple of weeks later, she got the call that she had Lyme disease. And it was interesting because right at that same time, because it was in May of 2017 that she was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. And at that time, KC24 had just run a special on Lyme disease and had
Wow.
interviewed 3 women, one of which lived in Fresno, 2 lived out in Shell Beach area. And I called up Alex Delgado, who had done the interview, and I said, Alex, I go, my Alex just got diagnosed with Lyme disease. I don't even know where to start, but you just had a special. I need to get a hold of these women. And she gave me the information, and one thing led to another. And one of these gals had a daughter the same age as Alex. So, she was able to really jumpstart me on just what Lyme disease is, where to go for treatment. It was, yeah, it was tough. It was
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my. Okay. So then when you found out, what did you guys start doing right away?
So when we found out, as a parent, you just want to fix everything, right? You don't care
Right.
what the cost is, you're just going to get it done. And so we researched, went to, the best facility that we thought. In fact, it's Sophia Health Institute, where years ago, Yolanda from the Beverly Hills,
Yeah, I know she has that. And
remember
that's the
that?
first thing I thought of.
Yes. So we went there. We thought, hey, if it's good enough for her, we don't care what it, costs. We're going to go there. And Alex was there for a couple of weeks, and she wasn't getting any better. So then we just researched, went to another facility, researched, went to another facility. And because, it had been in her body for over 10 years, we just could never get a leg up on it. So the important thing, that I want everyone to know about is definitely, always being your own health advocate. If you feel something is, not right with you, to, keep going for answers. Don't, take no for an answer from the doctors. But also, in Alex's case, she had to really come to grips with her disease. And she knew towards the end that she wasn't going to be able to turn the corner. So for her, her faith was paramount in her being able to sit with the fact that God had other plans for her. And because of her strong faith and what she went through at the end, I can be talking to you today about this and not breaking down and not, being consumed with grief. Yes, it was tragic. I don't wish this upon anybody, what I went through. But I knew when Alex passed that I had to continue on the work that she wanted to do, which was to educate people on Lyme disease, create that awareness, have her life mean something, carry on her legacy. So with that, I started the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, which we raise money to support those that have Lyme disease, because if it's not bad enough that you get this disease that most of the medical community still can't get a handle on, insurance doesn't cover it for the most part. So all these facilities, all this medication, everything that I went through from 2017 until Alex passed in March of 2018, I spent over $100,000 on it.
How is that possible? Why is insurance not covering this?
Because a lot of the treatment, they think, oh, if you get Lyme disease, just go on Doxy for 2 weeks and you'll be fine. Well, when it's been sitting in someone's body, for a while, it's not fine because it impacts every other part of
Oh
your
my
being.
gosh.
So it's horrific. So that's why we started the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, because she didn't want others to suffer like she had to. So again, creating that awareness. And then on top of that, I wrote a book. which just came out 2 months ago, which you have referenced. It's called My Promise to Alex. And in that book, it really talks about Alex's story. And a lot of my friends, that last year when I was trying to save my daughter, they didn't even realize what I went through because I didn't have time to stop. I was just like, go, dog,
Right.
go. Needed to get her better. And my friends were just shocked at everything that we went through. Um, and, that I just really want people to know what Alex went through. And, hopefully just by seeing her perseverance, how she never gave up, it will give other people hope with whatever challenge they're going through in life. Just you never know what's going to happen, right? I mean, in Alex's case, she had a different plan than what I wanted, but ultimately that's what God wanted. But you just never know when you're going to be able to turn the corner. So never give up, always have hope.
What did you discover with your research and everything? What's the fatality rate? What is that typically?
Alex, it's rare that people actually pass away from Lyme disease
That's what I
because
thought.
disease, people pass away from Lyme disease by taking their own lives. Suicide is very high with Lyme disease.
Is it so painful?
Exactly. And they just can't get out of pain. So that's why a lot of times, if people pass away, it's unfortunately because of suicide. Yeah, the fatality is usually not that high for Lyme disease, but she also developed a byproduct of Lyme disease called mast cell activation syndrome. It's MCAS. And basically, we all have mast cells in our bodies. Those are, things that are good for us. But in a chronic illness, and someone that has a chronic disease, their system's all haywire. And so normally, like if you are eating, say, a piece of fruit, say you're eating an apple one day, well, a couple of days later, you could eat that same apple and have like an allergic reaction to it. Your body, senses that it's like poison and it's, shooting out all these histamines, and so your whole histamine system is out of whack. I mean, it's horrible what people have to go through with these chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases.
I was really fascinated by the quote that you said about how nobody, if you get cancer, it's like, oh my gosh, let's put all this funding into research. But if you get Lyme's disease, it was, what did they tell you?
Well, when you get Lyme disease, it's everybody is, and again, I'm not I don't wish illness upon
I
anybody, but
understand.
yeah, but cancer, you have a tried and true method, right? You're going to take the chemo, what's going to happen. But with Lyme disease, it's like you get a buffet. Okay, do you want to try this? Or would you rather try this? Or let's try this third option. There's no definite treatment. And
And we don't
everyone
take it as seriously or care about it as much.
correct because visibly everybody looks fine. Like the only thing with Alex was she started losing weight because of her digestive system. But for a lot of people that have chronic pain, if they don't present anything visibly that somebody can say, oh gosh, Sparkle, you know what, I can tell that you are not feeling well, that you have cancer, that you have some debilitative
Right.
disease. With Lyme disease and a lot of these other autoimmune diseases, you can't really tell. It's the invisible disease.
So right now you have this foundation raising money.
Mhm.
What's kind of what are they trying to do now? So research, there's not really a cure, but there's a way to make it not
So there's
hurt as
there's
bad. What are they looking for now?
so right there's no cure for it. Hopefully one day there will be, but
Okay.
they are trying to come up with different protocols, different treatments, different ways through medications other than antibiotics. There's there's a lot of different treatments. And some people like to go more the traditional Western medicine where it's you knock it out with these antibiotics. Now, obviously, that can harm your digestive system and other, organs in your body. And then there's also more the natural, like through supplements and herbs and, maybe acupuncture. So there's just really a variety of treatments. And it really has to be up to the person where they're at, in the stage of their Lyme disease, if they can do a kinder, more gentle treatment, or like in Alex's case where they were just throwing everything at her because they were trying to get ahead of it. So yeah, unfortunately, there is no guidebook on how to get better from Lyme disease right now.
So you want to fine tune some of the medicines and look for a cure. That's what kind of we're wanting to figure out now, right? At this
Exactly.
phase.
Exactly. And support research. When the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation was established back in 2018, we collaborated with Global Lyme Alliance out of New York and sponsored a $50,000 research grant. So not only are we raising funds to help Lyme patients with their treatment, we're also raising funds to help support that research that's being done in the medical community. I 2 months ago was on a panel with a tick-borne disease working group out of Washington to tell Alex's story and to help fight for more federal dollars. So we are, closing that gap a little bit on how, narrow the funding was for Lyme disease. So I'm glad to see that is happening. And I think that, and again, I don't wish this on anybody, but with some of these celebrities, Justin Bieber and other individuals that have been, tested positive for Lyme disease and they're coming out and talking about it, it is definitely raising the awareness bar. So that's good. That's good for us.
That's awesome that Lisa on that front, but there's still a lot of work to go. So where can we donate to Alex's foundation?
Yes. So we have a website. It's called www.alexhudsonlymefoundation.org. On there, there's lots of great resources. I mean, I really did it quick like, but we have lots of great tabs on there for resources, different types of treatments, doctors, you name it, you can find it on there. Also, the link to My Promise to Alex is on there. So for people that want to purchase the book, that's on Amazon. The link is on our website as well.
Thank you so much for coming on my show and educating us. And
I'm in debt to you. I really appreciate, just being able to speak about this, especially with May being Lyme Disease Awareness Month. This is really important. So we need to continue to get the word out. And so many people in the Central Valley, go hiking, they're outdoors.
right.
And that's what we want people to do, but we just want to make sure that everyone's doing it in a safe manner.
And kudos to you. I mean, I imagine that because it's so much more because, you lost a child and you have a mission. You can't even, I don't know
Right.
if you ever have time to grieve because you're just on a mission to do this. And I'm sure you get a lot of people in other respects looking at that, in the community of like, how they can overcome maybe some tragic loss in their life by doing something proactive like you are.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. I didn't the first year or two really have time to grieve because I was in project mode. But I think that's the best way for me to survive what I went through is just boom. Okay, do a foundation, do this, do fundraising, now write a book. Really, I started grieving when I started writing the book because I actually had time to reflect and go, oh my God, we really went through hell. But I need to get this story out because I don't want any other person or any other family to go through what we did. So hopefully, by creating this awareness with Alex's foundation, we'll be able to do that.
All right, sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on my show, Jody.
My gosh, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
You're very welcome.
Okay, tell everybody your services and what you do.
Okay, so my business is called Curated with Ease and Company. It's a social media agency, and I provide services through social media management, organic marketing, because I don't want to, it's just, to me, there's that point when you have to like step back and look and say, Yeah, some of the marketing tactics that we used to use, like Craigslist, just aren't working anymore. So I try to stay clear of that digital marketing, as it's a little bit different through social media. So I help clients build their portfolio. I help them brand their businesses and stuff. So it's just so much fun, and it's such a great creative space, and to also help see so many businesses excel.
I love your entrepreneurial spirit because it's like you're young and you're really getting it done. So tell people about like the ins and outs of your business, how you started it, and you kind of let yourself go and you're getting back on your health, because you're really health focused, and you've helped a lot of doctors and stuff, and spas and stuff.
Yes, yeah, I've helped, different, like a medical spa, and now I'm working with another spa right now, and I have always been health-centered focused. I was training at one point, like, for bodybuilding, and I just blew up because I was so focused in my business, and it just took over to where there was like an off balance to where I'm like, okay, now there's like a good flow going on. So the services I do is so I started with UGC content, which is user generated content through social media. And so I started to create videos. I did my own broadcasting on Amazon live streaming and stuff. So then I decided there are a bunch of people that need help with this. Why don't I create my own business doing it? And now I'm the production. Now I'm the one creating the copywriting, like the scripts, the creative direction
and
that
the problem
these
with
will
your
go.
job, there's no turn off button. You can go you could be working at midnight doing this, or like 5 a.m.
Yes.
But you don't have an off button.
And so that's why it's like that's one advice I give to new business owners, and even myself, I'm still so new in this, is create structure for yourself 100%.
Instead of just for everybody else.
Yes, because if you don't have that, then your whole business might fall in some ways, and then you're just going to be stressed out, and then you're not taking care of yourself, and then it's just a mess. Yeah.
So you kind of learned the balance. And how long has this company been going on?
I just established it in 2022 officially with my business license.
But you kind of started a little bit before, but now you're like official. Okay.
Exactly.
But last year is when you got you got the wheels spinning.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got those, exactly. I got the wheels spinning, and I was just like, this is something I have to just say I'm going to do it and focus on it, believe in myself, because it's scary, like saying I was like, I never thought in a million years I would be following this career path.
Right.
I came from a family that valued a 9-to-5 life, go to college. I graduated from Fresno State.
Well, that's what we're taught. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
That's our culture.
Exactly. And then it's like, oh, you got to get benefits and health insurance. But I said, no, I've always been a person that is good at risk management, and I know that if I do it the right way, I can succeed at this. And although I'm still very new in it, I know that there is nothing yet to come but just good energy and hard work and perseverance.
So who have you helped lately that you can name drop?
Well, some of my clients, I don't want to drop their names, but I did help.
Say what they are. Say what kind of business it is.
Right now, there's Renew Wellness Spa. That is one place that I'm helping that I can name drop because but other businesses I'm helping are women in business that are still getting started, like on their branding. And one of them
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like you're starting helping other people. I love that.
Yeah. It's really cool.
So what's one of the women that you're starting?
So she does this service called Ayurveda. It's holistic health.
I love that.
It talks about getting in tune to your body at the very physiological level of like understanding what you need for your body, what your particular body needs versus someone else's, because
like
there are so many
one
things.
Size fits all, one cure to all.
Exactly, because like things on the market say this will work, you'll gain muscle, but it's not at all, like you said.
She
and that's
designs it for the person.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And it's just so great to align with like-minded individuals like that are in health spaces. And even though I don't maybe like match that at the moment, like in terms of physique wise.
Oh, but you're working hard. I see you in the gym every day now. And that's,
yeah, and it's like I might not be like matching it physique wise, I guess, but at least I have the education and background to help people in businesses that are in the beauty industry, that are in the health industry and stuff. So that's like my passion. And so it's like, not only did I incorporate what I'm doing, but also the passion work of like, I don't think I tried the whole like looking at personal training, and it was like one of those things. I realized that now this all aligns perfectly. You know, I don't have to follow it. You have to follow in your own footsteps.
Right.
And sometimes we look at people for inspiration, but it's like we could take things from that and realize maybe it's for you, maybe it's not for you. You got to try different things and see what works, you know?
And where do we go to get your services?
So I use a booking service called Honeybook. It is connected to my Instagram.
So we can just IG, we can DM you if you want to, right?
You
about
can.
it?
Yes, of course. You can ask about services. I work with a lot of different rate. Like I don't have set rates necessarily because every business is so different in what they need, and some of my projects are bigger than others. So I really try to make sure to focus on what can we do in your price that you can afford, because some people's prices are different, you know, what they can afford and stuff. But yeah, it's really great work. I'm so excited to and thankful to be on your show as well. It's so beautiful.
Do we pay for each service individually, or like if I want, let's say I'm starting from scratch and I'm like, I want you to come in and do everything for me ground up.
Right.
Is there like a price for that where you could just say
that,
and you can do that?
It's like that all, I would say, depends, because I really cater toward, we look at where you're at. Like if you need coaching, do you need a new logo? Do you need designing? Do you need what, like branding and all those things combined? It's like in certain packages they can range from, I would say,
we only do prices.
You know,
so we'll DM you for that.
Yeah.
But but you can also design a logo. So if I come straight up and say I'm starting a fitness business, I don't have anything.
Exactly.
And then you're going to be like, okay, well, why don't you put a weight here and be like this and that? You'll guide me through that.
Exactly. And
you have someone to design stuff like that.
And I do the designing.
Wow,
so I love to do the designing. I
personally
you really do love. I know. I try. I personally love to use. There is Adobe, of course. Adobe is the industry standard. However, I have learned that it makes my life a lot easier to just use Canva, and Canva is a great tool. So whether or not you can do it yourself or you understand how Canva works, it's a great way for any small business to start in that. But I love Canva. It is so great to design elements and put everything together. It's great programming to use. And yeah, it's just so flawless with social media.
To use as okay, let's say you get me started on everything, and you've started me on Canva, and now when I want to make tweaks, you're like, you know what? I'll just teach you how to do that.
Right.
You can do that too for me?
Exactly. And so, like, for example, I'm looking at starting a workshop or seminar. Some of my clients already said, you know, there's people that will pay to sit down with you to just teach them strategies, social media strategies, and then also how to just utilize social media. Because people, I'm not saying everyone is not in this age group, but pretty much majority of my clients, to be honest, are like 40 and up. They're
I got a mom. I'm always doing her social. I understand. I understand your pain.
Yeah, so that's really I would find that somehow that's what my clientele is like people that women or even men that are 40 and up.
So you're hands-on enough to be like, I'm going to sit with you.
Yeah, consultation.
I can do all this.
Yes.
We can map out a few hours, and this is the price.
Exactly.
And let's get this done.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I can call you when I'm like stuck 2 weeks later.
Yes, and we will have a follow-up, and that'll be in that that plan, and that's what will like be in the contract. It'll show a timeline.
I love
It'll
that.
show everything. So it took a lot to think through it all, but then it started coming together when it was like, oh wow, it's structured. Good, you know.
You're
like
opening some good businesses too.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. My dad works, he's a headhunter pretty much. And so he told me there's like thousands of businesses here. So if you can get a workshop together, that would be my goal, is to sit down. You know how these women do like lash workshops and lash trainings?
I go to your workshop.
You get what I'm saying? It's like these lash trainings, I can incorporate that in my, any business can incorporate that model of going down and having a workshop and just having, you know, you learn, get down, like put together a pamphlet, review everything, videos, access to stuff like that, because some people are like, no, I want to sit down with you. I don't want to do it online. I don't want to use online. They don't want to use YouTube. So if I was to make a course, let's just say on YouTube, not everybody wants to use that. Not everyone wants to Google everything.
Well, and people want to ask questions. You can't really do that on those platforms. So that becomes like that.
You can like follow up, but it's not the
hard.
same for everybody. Everyone's so different in their learning style that it's a good idea. So stay tuned. That is coming soon. I would like to get together. I would definitely like to get a workshop together, get a head count, start promoting that very soon.
Cool. Well, let's follow you. Tell our viewers where they can follow you.
It is Curated with Ease and .co. And my regular page is Curated with Ease, so I have, that's my
Facebook
branding
and
name.
Instagram. I didn't know.
Yes.
Instagram. Okay.
Yeah. So on Facebook, it's the Curated with Ease and .co, and so you can find me on there, and it should be tagged or something as well. So, yes.
Thank you so much for coming on my show, girl.
Thank you for having me. Yay.
Oh, thanks. I was like, no, that was so cool. Thank you so much for coming on my show today. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, Sparkles. Thank you.
Okay, so we're here to talk about the Moose Lodge. Tell us all about it.
Well, the Moose Lodge is an organization that started, oh gosh.
Well, the Fresno Lodge was chartered in 1910.
Wow.
Yes, and the Women of the Moose was chartered in 1921. So we've been around that long.
And it started out pretty much as an organization to help when a family was in need, and let's say that the parents passed away in an automobile accident or something tragic happened, and you have the children, and there's nowhere for them to go. So instead of being taken into the state, the Moose organization came up with a place called Moose Heart. So what happens is they'll adopt the children, bring them in, and then raise them all the way through high school, and in some cases even all through college. Mm-hmm. So they're taken care of quite well. And then the other side of it is for the elderly, it's in Moose Haven, Moose Haven, and that's in Jackson, Florida. And they'll take you in, as a senior, 65, in different conditions, and then you stay there pretty much for the remainder of your life. So all the proceeds go to either the children or the elderly.
I love that. That's really cool. And then now we have an event coming up for St. Jude's. Tell us a little bit about that. You guys are raising money for, which again goes to the children, right?
Well, we also do community service as well as contributing to Moose Heart and Moose Haven. And one of our events is for St. Jude. And we have a fundraising, a period of time for a fundraising event, and it culminates on Saturday, May 14th, with a barbecue, music, and looking forward to those last contributions before we write the check for St. Jude.
And that's fun because the whole community could come together. Like we could come, bring the children, and it's at the actual Moose Lodge. So we get to kind of get a feel for what it's like there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
How does membership work? Is it like a yearly thing?
Yeah, it's yearly dues.
When we don't discuss prices on the show, so.
Okay. Yeah, it's yearly dues. It's fairly feasible. And basically you pay your dues, and once you pay your dues, you're allowed to go to any moose club in the whole United States. There's a few in Canada, and there's even in Great
Britain.
Columbia or Great Britain, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty nice because when you're out of town and you're thinking, wow, I want to go out, but you don't know where you are, you don't know what the people are like, you don't know what you're going to get into when you walk into some of the bars nowadays. So you can go into a local moose, you pretty much know they're going to have the same idea that you have about
That's really cool. I love
people.
that. That's a really great fact.
In addition to that, those who have motorhomes or travel trailers, many of the Moose Lodges have hookups so that members can stay there either free or for a nominal amount.
Very
That
nominal.
is so cool. I love that. And then you also, if you're a member, you can have an event there. Like if someone passes away, you can do a funeral. That's really interesting.
Absolutely. And our organization here in Fresno, we like to, we'll supply that for free basically. So when you have someone that's passed away and you want to have a celebration of life, you would just contact us, make sure the date's available. And there's quite a few people that will step in and take care of everything for you. Mm-hmm. Cooking, picking up, setting up, and helping you as much as possible.
And you had a tie-dye party there? Tell us about
yes,
that.
yes.
Tell us how crazy and wild you got.
Well, it was crazy. My wife just we had a celebration of life for my wife, and we had a tie-dye party, a
That's
full
so
live band,
amazing.
and it was just a wild event. I mean, you had all the kids over there just tie-dyeing T-shirts all night long,
That
and
is
everybody else was
so
dancing.
special. I
That was
love
funny.
that story.
Yeah. So we do a lot of things like that and come up with great ideas, and we'll do anything from a car show. We'll do anything. We'll do a car show. We'll do a motorcycle run. We'll do poker runs. We'll do Hawaiian night. We bring in the Hawaiian dancers, the flamethrowers, and all that stuff.
Wow.
We do live pig roast where we'll do a full pig on a spit above ground.
Not live.
So we do a lot of, yeah. For Thanksgiving one year, we did 7 turkeys on a big open spit. So we're open to just anything you can think of. We'll figure out how to
See,
make it
that's
happen.
really fun. I think a lot of people don't know, the fun and all that you do for community. That's why I'm so glad I have you guys here to explain, because that's exciting.
Oh, and every holiday we're going to come up with a theme. We have the Halloween parties, we have the New Year's parties, which is one of my favorites because we'll have the dinner will be served at midnight. Or actually, no, it's breakfast. We'll do our dinner early, then we do the New Year's Eve, and then we have a midnight breakfast right after it.
Wow.
And then, of course, as long as you can last, you stay. And then those that camp out, which is nice because we talked about how you can bring your campers and stuff like that. So a lot of people will come and bring their trailers and stay the night, and we'll wake up in the morning and have another breakfast.
I love that. So besides a yearly fee, what do you have to do to become a member of the club?
Well, actually, you need to be sponsored by a member, someone who's already a member, and they would sponsor you. And there is a fee as well as your first year's dues, and that's really all it takes.
That's about it. And then we'll bring you to it. We'd like you to come to an orientation, and then someone like me will talk to you about what we would like you to do. There are no expectations. If you simply paid your dues, that's enough, because that's a donation.
But you have to know someone to kind of get in.
Yes, you do need to know someone to get in. Once you have a sponsor, they just, they say, yes, we know this person.
But going to this charity, going to events like that is a way to get to know someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because then we'll meet you, and then you'd be like, you'd be great for this, and then
Yeah.
that's how we can. Well, that's great. What a edge in.
And actually, at our last orientation, we have a car show coming up in September, and a couple of our new car show committee members, they're new members after being at an event, and just liked what we had to offer.
I would say the events probably bring in, if you're going to bring in a group of people, it's the events that will bring in, you'll get a large number of people that will want to come in after an event. Well, of course, everybody has a friend that they'll bring in, dribble a friend here, a friend there, a friend there. But once you have a big thing like the car show and everybody sees how much fun it is, then they're like, oh, I want to be a part of that.
All of what you're saying sounds really fun to me. I'm like,
Well, it just, come on. We're a social club, so
Right.
we like to drink and we like to have fun.
Right.
And we want to do something for every event. So if there's a holiday, or we'll make a holiday up. We don't need a reason. We'll just come up with it. If there's a reason to have a party, we're going to have one.
The social quarters is for members only. No non-member can purchase anything in the social quarters. However, people who are non-members can have an event there utilizing our meeting room, like the kitchen and the grounds. We have a covered patio that's huge, and so we can accommodate both.
But our non-members are still allowed to enjoy drinking and all that and having a good time.
Yes.
We just don't take money from them. So you would come in with your sponsor, or not a sponsor, you could come with any Moose member. And all we do is sign you in, and once you're signed in, we kind of take care of you, and you got the run of the place.
how many members do you have now, roughly?
We currently have 957 members. We're down a little bit due to COVID and people not getting out or finances, and that. But that includes men and women. We used to have two. The Moose or Moose International had two factions. There is the Loyal Order of Moose, which was the men's side, and Women of the Moose, which was the women's side, and we didn't mix. And this last year, the national organization has changed up, and now we are all the Moose.
I love that. That's awesome.
And
Well, a lot of these clubs, they started back in the day when, you know, women weren't really allowed in the bars.
I understand
and so they kind of got stuck in that rut. But it took a lot of us to step up and say, hey, you know what? It's not 1920 anymore. It's not 1950. We need to move on here and let the women become a part of stuff, because without women stepping up and helping, you know, a lot of guys, let's face it, they're pretty lazy. They're not going to do as much. When we get all these women in here, then all of a sudden things really start happening. It makes it so much easier when the men and women came together. Because, hey, women are a great asset.
Oh yes, it's Women's Health Week, and I do love when you said about the causes that you do that supports women as well.
yes, we have several local, not only nationally, but locally we support many groups. And one that you, since you had mentioned that, was is the Pregnancy Center, supporting everyone and anyone who is in need. Terry's House.
Foster kids. We had a real nice thing with foster kids. We would hand them all a packet when they had to go into a new home. A lot of times you don't have the stuff. You don't have a toothbrush. You don't have toothpaste. You don't have a brush. A blanket. Just simple little things that mean something to are yours when you walk into this new home and you're like, wow, you know, you're coming with nothing. And
That's
backpacks
so
for kids that, you know, when they go back to school, we love doing that. I mean, we're here for anybody. If you were to come up to me and say, you know, I've got this thing and it's a charity, and just explain it, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So Terry's House, what is that? Is that for fosters?
Actually, Terry's House is associated with community medical centers, and it's directly across the street.
Because I've heard of Molly's House, and I've had them on my show, but that's different, right? Okay.
Right. Because CRMC is Trauma One, Burn Center. There's lots of out-of-town patients, and so that's a place for, like Mike said, kind of like a Ronald McDonald House.
Place for the parents to stay when their kids are in the hospital and stuff like that.
That is so smart. What a great cause. Okay.
And then also the Ronald McDonald House, there's
there isn't anybody, there really isn't anybody we wouldn't partner with.
And that's so cool. So, and then that's another good reason to join and become a member.
Because that's what we do.
And you said you just have to be 21 to join, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just drinking age.
Yes.
But we have, you know, we have a lot of young kids there. Like my kids were young and they were there a lot with a lot of their friends because there was other stuff to do. We put in, you know, basketball. Oh gosh, I can't remember everything we have. We do a lot of darts.
Right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on my show. What's the website we should go to look into this or become a member?
They do.
Facebook.
Well, there's a Facebook.
Perfect.
Right.
That seems to be more.
We're all Facebookers here, so we will look up the Moose
Yeah, the
Lodge.
Fresno Moose Lodge,
the Fresno
Facebook,
Moose
445, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on my show
Thank
today.
you very much
Thank you,
for having
Sparkle.
us.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh I must confess dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you, and I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend, playing pretend, playing pretend.
It's a mystery.